Hello and welcome again to Immigration News and Views. My name is David Nachman and I'm one of the managing attorneys at the NPZ, Nachman Fulwani Zimochek Law Group. We have offices located in Ridgewood, New Jersey. We also have an office located in New York City. And we have an office located in Indianapolis, downtown. And we also have a presence in Boston. And we also are in the process of putting together an office or satellite office in Chicago, Illinois. It gives me great pleasure to come and speak to you all and try to update you a little bit on what's happening with regard to the new DAPA, we'll call it DAPA program and DACA 2 program. These programs are part and parcel of President Obama's, we'll refer to it as executive actions, which were initially promulgated back in November of 2014. Of course, as everyone is aware, these programs have come under a tremendous amount of fire. And what ultimately happened was that when the DAPA and DACA 2 programs were supposed to go into effect, and I guess let me just tell you what that stands for. DAPA stands for Deferred Action for Parental Accountability. That was a program that was implemented whereby the president will allow, potentially, if it ends up being passed, individuals the ability to stay in the United States, to get work authorization, and to travel, assuming that they have U.S. citizen children or they have green card children in the United States. So lying at the heart of the DAPA and DACA program, of course, is this thing called family unity, which is very important to the initiatives of the president. So what happened was that just before the DAPA and DACA programs were supposed to go into effect, what happened was that the state of Texas filed a restraining order, and that restraining order was subsequently upheld by the court. And then what happened was that after several months went by, it was brought to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court granted certiorari. And the Supreme Court, from what we understand now, has asked for, they actually asked for Texas's decision, actually their response, by the end of December. Texas tried to slow the case down to push it out for a long time, but the Supreme Court said that they have to act soon on it. So the response by Texas was due on December 29th, and what it looks like now is that this case is going to be argued before the Supreme Court sometime possibly in April, and we may have a decision by May or early June. So it's kind of interesting as a political matter to take a look at DAPA and DACA, because one of the things that the president, of course, had always been talking about, and it was a promise that he made during his re-election campaign a couple of years back, is that he wanted to try to do something good for immigration, but also the Democrats now, considering we're in an election year, are trying to harness that Hispanic vote. And so obviously the Republicans are trying to do that too, and they're making efforts to do it. I don't know that their efforts are going to trump, no pun intended, are going to trump the efforts that are made by the Democratic Party right now if the president's initiatives do go through. So as it looks right now, we're looking at the possibility of this case being argued in April, and the possibility of it going through in the early spring. Now, so what can you do if you are the potential beneficiary of a DAPA or a DACA 2 case? Now is a good time to start getting your documents together. We remind you that these programs were restrained, which means that the rules for those programs were going to go into effect immediately, when just before Texas filed a restraining order. So once that restraining order is lifted, they can go into effect immediately. So now is the time to start getting your documentation together. Things like proof that you are, that your child is a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, and various types of identity documents and so on. If you would like to receive intake sheets for the DACA 2 program or for the DAPA program, we encourage you to send us an email at the email address on your screen, and we'll be more than happy to provide those free of charge so you can start to gather up the documentation and be ready to apply for these benefits when they become available. Thanks very much for being with us today. We will do our best to keep you updated as these things change, which they are doing in a fast and furious fashion, but we do our best to try to keep you apprised of the new developments. Thanks very much for being with us today. Bye for now.